Have you ever had someone you trusted with your whole heart turn around and stab you in the back, leaving your name dragged through the mud for everyone to see? That's the nightmare I lived through when my own brother, the person I thought had my back no matter what, spread lies about me that turned my closest friends against me overnight. But what I did to claw my way back, to rebuild my honor from the ashes of betrayal, might just blow your mind. And it's left me wondering if I've truly won or if I've lost something even more precious along the way. I'm still shaking from the fallout, torn between the love I've always had for my brother and the raw, burning need to protect my name, my dignity, from the poison he unleashed. This isn't just a story about sibling drama. It's a gut punch of a journey through shame, rage, and a desperate fight to reclaim who I am when the people I cared about most believed the worst of me. Stick with me as I spill every painful detail, every sleepless night, and the unexpected strength I found when I thought I had nothing left. You won't believe how far I had to go to stand tall again, and I need your help to figure out if I've really healed or if the scars of this betrayal will haunt me forever. My name's Ethan, and I'm 29, living in Asheville, North Carolina, a quirky mountain town nestled in the Blue Ridge, where the air smells like pine and the streets are alive with artists, breweries, and the hum of Appalachian history. I'm a graphic designer, freelancing mostly, which lets me work from my small loft apartment overlooking the French Broad River, though I've always dreamed of opening my own studio someday. Asheville's a place of rugged beauty, with its rolling hills and foggy mornings, but it's also a tight-knit community where word travels fast, and a ruined reputation can follow you like a shadow. I've been close to my younger brother, Caleb, for as long as I can remember. He's 26, a mechanic with a quick laugh and a reckless streak, the kind of guy who can charm anyone but often acts before he thinks. Growing up, we were thick as thieves, sharing everything from secrets to stupid pranks, and I always saw myself as his protector, the big brother who'd shield him from the world. But what I didn't see coming, what I couldn't have predicted, was that he'd be the one to shatter my world, spreading lies that turned my friends against me and left me fighting to prove I'm not the monster he painted me to be. The emotional conflict started about a year ago, though the seeds were probably planted long before I noticed. Caleb and I had always been different. He was the wild one, always chasing the next thrill, while I was steadier, the planner, the one who tried to keep us grounded. But we balanced each other, or so I thought. We'd built a tight circle of friends here in Asheville, a group of 6 or 7 of us who'd been through everything together. Late-night bonfires in the mountains, road trips to the coast, even helping each other through breakups and job losses. They were my family as much as Caleb was, the people I trusted with my messiest, most vulnerable parts. So when whispers started circulating last fall, rumors that I'd been talking trash about them behind their backs, saying cruel, personal things I'd never even thought, I was blindsided. At first, I didn't know where it was coming from. I'd get cold shoulders at our usual hangout spot, a dive bar called the Crow's Nest, or see unread texts in our group chat. Then, one night, my best friend since high school, Jake, pulled me aside at a brewery downtown, his face hard, and asked why I'd called him a deadbeat who'd never amount to anything. My stomach dropped. I'd never said that, never even hinted at it. But Jake didn't believe me, and as the weeks went on, I learned the source of the poison, Caleb. My own brother had been spreading these lies, twisting things I'd confided in him about my frustrations or insecurities into vicious gossip, making me out to be a two-faced jerk who didn't deserve the loyalty of my friends. The internal struggle was immediate and brutal, a storm of hurt, anger, and confusion that I couldn't escape. I'd lie awake in my loft, staring at the exposed brick walls, listening to the distant rush of the river outside, wondering how my brother could do this to me. I loved Caleb, still do, in some messed up way. I'd think about all the times I'd bailed him out, whether it was covering his rent when he blew his paycheck on a dumb bet or talking him down after a bar fight. I saw him as my responsibility, my blood, the kid I'd promised our mom I'd look after when she passed from cancer 5 years ago. But now, every memory was tainted by this betrayal. How could someone I'd given so much to turn around and ruin me like this? Was it jealousy, resentment for the times I'd lectured him to get his act together, or just careless cruelty? The worst part was the shame. I felt humiliated, stripped bare in front of people I'd trusted, my name turned into something ugly. I'd walk through Pack Square, past the street musicians and art galleries, feeling like every glance was a judgment, like everyone knew the lies and believed them. I started doubting myself, wondering if I'd somehow brought this on, if I'd been too hard on Caleb, too controlling, or if I'd failed as a brother in ways I couldn't see. Memories of our past kept crashing over me, adding salt to the wound as I tried to make sense of it all. I'd think about growing up in a small rental on the edge of Asheville, just the two of us and Mom after Dad split when I was 10. I remembered teaching Caleb to ride a bike on a gravel road near our house, how he'd crashed a dozen times but kept laughing, how proud I felt when he finally got it. I thought about the nights after Mom got sick, when we'd sit on her creaky porch, watching fireflies while she slept inside, promising each other we'd always stick together no matter what. I remembered our first big fight as adults, when he dropped out of community college and I yelled at him for throwing away his future, how he'd stormed off but came back the next day with a sheepish apology and a six-pack of cheap beer. Those moments reminded me of the bond we'd had, the brother I thought I knew, and made his betrayal cut even deeper. I'd also think about my friends, the memories we'd built, camping trips in Pisgah National Forest, where we'd hike to Looking Glass Falls and joke about who'd slip on the rocks first, or the time we all pitched in to fix Jake's beat-up truck after a flood. Losing them felt like losing a piece of myself, and I couldn't help but wonder if I'd ever get that trust back, if I'd ever feel whole again. The resentment built slowly but fiercely, a bitter weight that colored every thought, every step I took. I stopped reaching out to Caleb, ignoring his calls and texts, though each unanswered message felt like a small betrayal of my own. I'd see his name pop up on my phone while I was sketching designs at my desk, the mountains framed in my window, and feel this hot surge of anger mixed with a hollow ache. I started avoiding our usual spots, skipping trivia nights at the Crow's Nest or hikes with the group, because I couldn't face the awkward silences, the sideways looks. I'd hole up in my apartment instead, blasting music to drown out the loneliness, or take long drives up the Blue Ridge Parkway, the winding roads and sweeping views a temporary escape from the mess of my life. But the more I pulled back, the more isolated I felt, and the more I hated Caleb for putting me here. I started questioning everything, my worth, my relationships, my ability to trust anyone. I'd sit on my tiny balcony, sipping coffee as the morning mist rolled over the river, and ask myself if I was overreacting, if I should just confront him and get it over with, or if I was right to feel this violated, this broken. Was I failing as a brother by shutting him out, or was I finally protecting myself from someone who didn't deserve my loyalty? The unexpected twist came about 3 months ago, and it turned my world upside down, forcing me to see Caleb in a light I hadn't expected and complicating my fight for redemption. It was a chilly January evening, the kind where the mountain air bites at your skin, and I was at a local coffee shop, The Drip, working on a client project to distract myself from the loneliness that had become my constant companion. My phone buzzed with a text from an old mutual friend, Mia, someone who'd stayed neutral in the drama. She said she'd run into Caleb at a garage where he worked, and he'd looked rough, bags under his eyes, hands shaking as he talked. She mentioned he'd let slip something about making things right with me, that he'd been spiraling since our fallout, drinking too much, picking fights. Then she dropped the bombshell. Caleb hadn't spread those lies out of spite or jealousy. He'd done it to cover his own mess. Apparently, he'd gotten into deep debt with some shady guys over a failed side hustle, and when they started threatening him, he'd panicked, using me as a distraction by feeding our friends lies to shift attention, to make himself look like the good guy who was just warning them about me. Mia said he'd broken down while telling her, admitting he hated himself for it, but didn't know how else to protect himself at the time. Reading that text, sitting in the dim light of the coffee shop with the smell of roasted beans around me, I felt a tidal wave of emotions I couldn't sort through. Fury that he'd used me as a scapegoat, pity for the fear he must have felt, and a gut-wrenching sadness that he hadn't trusted me enough to ask for help. All this time, I'd thought it was personal, some deep resentment or cruelty, but here was proof it was desperation, a stupid, selfish choice born out of his own mess. It didn't excuse what he'd done. Hell no, the damage was still real, my name still tarnished, but it added a layer I hadn't seen, a glimpse into his head that made me question if I'd misjudged his motives. I thought about all the times I'd been there for him, all the ways I'd tried to be the big brother he needed, and wondered if I'd failed him by not seeing how bad things had gotten. But I also wondered why he couldn't just tell me, why he let me take the fall instead of facing his problems with me by his side. This twist didn't fix anything. If anything, it made the conflict messier, because now I had to decide if I could forgive him, if I could rebuild trust knowing he'd thrown me under the bus to save himself. That revelation fueled the response I didn't see coming, a determined, almost obsessive push to reclaim my honor without letting Caleb off the hook. I didn't reach out to him. I wasn't ready for that, and I don't think I'll be for a long time, but I decided I couldn't let his lies define me anymore. I started small, reaching out to Jake and a couple others in the group, asking to meet one-on-one at quiet spots like a park near Biltmore Village. I didn't beg or grovel. I just laid it out, telling them I'd never said those things, that I valued their friendship more than they could know, and that I'd been hurt by the distance between us. Some listened, their faces softening as we talked over coffee or walked along tree-lined paths, while others stayed cold, unconvinced. I also started posting more on social media, not about the drama, but about my life, my design work, hikes in the mountains, small wins like landing a new client. It was my way of showing who I really was, not the villain Caleb had painted. I joined a local art collective, too, displaying my work at pop-up galleries downtown, meeting new people who didn't know the rumors, who saw me for me. It wasn't easy. Every step felt like walking on glass. Every rejection or skeptical look a reminder of the damage done. But I kept going, telling myself I deserved to be seen for who I am, not for lies spun out of someone else's fear. The months since have been a grind, a slow climb back to something resembling normal, though the scars are still fresh. Jake and I are talking again, grabbing beers occasionally at Wicked Weed Brewing, though there's a cautious edge to our laughs, a trust that's not fully mended. A couple others have come around, too, apologizing for believing the worst, but some are still distant, and I don't know if they'll ever see me the same. Caleb and I haven't spoken. I've seen him once, from a distance, working under a car at his garage as I drove by, and felt this pang of longing mixed with anger I can't shake. I've kept building my life, though, taking on bigger design projects, hiking solo to Mount Mitchell on weekends, watching the sunrise over the peaks while I try to clear my head. I've started journaling, too, scribbling thoughts late at night in my loft, the city lights twinkling below, processing the pain, the rage, the faint hope that I can move past this. I picture a future where my name is clear, where my friends see the real me, where I've built a life so strong that no lie can touch it. But I also picture a future where Caleb and I never reconcile, where the brother I loved is just a ghost of memory, and the thought cuts deeper than I expected. I've been reflecting a lot on the past, trying to untangle why this hits so hard, why I've struggled to let go of the hurt, even as I fight to rebuild. I think about Mom, how she'd always tell us to stick by family, no matter what, how she'd hug us both after a fight and say blood was thicker than anything. Maybe that's why I feel so torn, why forgiving Caleb feels like both a duty and a betrayal of myself. I remember summer trips to Lake Lure, the three of us swimming in the cool water while the mountains loomed around us. How simple and safe life felt back then. I think about my first big failure, a design gig I botched in my early 20s, how Caleb was the one who cheered me up, dragging me to a dive bar to laugh it off. I wonder if that version of him is still there, buried under bad choices, or if I've lost him for good. I think about my friends, too, the trust we'd built over years, how I took it for granted until it was gone. I want to believe I can reclaim that Ethan, the one who laughed easily, who trusted deeply, but I'm not sure if he exists anymore, or if this fight has changed me forever. Asheville itself feels like a character in this mess, a place of solace and struggle that mirrors my heart. I walk its streets, past the murals and buskers on Wall Street, the air crisp with mountain wind, and feel both anchored and adrift. The Blue Ridge peaks stand like silent guardians, reminding me of endurance, of weathering storms, but also of isolation, of standing alone. I think about the river, always flowing, carving its path no matter the obstacles, and wonder if I can be like that, persistent, unyielding, even when the current of betrayal pulls against me. I've started sketching the town in my free time, capturing the way the fog clings to the hills at dawn or the glow of string lights at outdoor markets, using my art to process the chaos, to hold on to myself. I picture a future where I'm hosting gallery shows here, surrounded by friends old and new, where Caleb's shadow doesn't loom over me. But I also picture a future where I'm still alone, where trust remains a risk I can't take, and the uncertainty gnaws at me like the cold mountain wind. I'm sitting here now, in the quiet of my loft, the faint hum of the city outside my window on this chilly North Carolina night, a sketchpad open on my desk with half-drawn lines of a mountain trail I hiked last week. Caleb's number is still in my phone, a missed call from 2 days ago unanswered, and I'm wondering if I'll ever be ready to hear his side, if I can forgive without forgetting, or if protecting myself means keeping that distance forever. My friends are a patchwork now, some back, some gone, some teetering on the edge, and I'm asking myself if I've truly reclaimed my honor or if I'm just pretending, papering over wounds that haven't healed. How do you rebuild trust after a betrayal this deep, especially when it's family, when every memory is tangled with love and pain? How do you know when to open your heart again and when to guard it with everything you've got? I want to believe there's a way forward, a path where I can stand tall without losing the connections that made me who I am, but I'm scared of what I might have to sacrifice to get there. I'm sharing this story with you because I'm still searching for answers, still trying to navigate the wreckage of betrayal, trust, and the fight for my own worth. Have you ever had a sibling or someone close turn on you, tarnishing your name in a way that felt impossible to recover from? How did you handle it? Did you confront them, rebuild on your own, or cut ties for good? Maybe you've had to fight to prove who you are when the people you loved believed the worst. How did you find the strength, and did you ever fully heal from the hurt? I'd love to hear your experiences, your advice, because I believe we can learn from each other's struggles and triumphs. As I look ahead, I'm wondering if I'll ever trust Caleb again, if my circle will ever feel whole, or if this battle for my honor is one I'll be fighting for the rest of my life. What do you think? How do I move forward from here?